Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of NCIS Season 19, Episode 18. This episode is titled Last Dance. Surprisingly, not a lot of dancing in this episode. No, but
Okay.
we have a lot to get into, though. Obviously, this is one of Nick Torres' bigger episodes. I think Wilmer was pretty incredible from start to finish here.
Yeah, this was a really good episode. And this was a great episode to really showcase what Wilmer can do. And we all know that he is, he's an incredible actor. He's been around a long time on the show, on the acting circuit. He's really incredible.
Well, before we get into a lot of the emotional stuff, what we've learned, what we're taking away here, hit that subscribe button, just like Last Dance your way on over there and do that,
Okay.
because we have new reviews after every new episode of this show. And of course, we don't want you to miss any of those. And by the way, Better Call Saul is premiering tonight. We don't want you guys to miss our discussion on that
Oh
either.
yeah, we are really excited for that show. It is fantastic. And
Yeah.
also follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. I got a new bunny this weekend.
Yeah.
And I've got some pictures of Miss Fifi Fontaine over there. So you can go over and see what she looks like.
She is adorable. That is the
Oh,
spoiler that I will give on
she
this.
is. She's such a little doll and she's so sweet and she's getting along with the dog really well. I think they're going to be great friends.
I really, really hope so. And, after watching this episode, my takeaway is that Torres needs more and more great friends. And I know he has McGee and I know he has Jessica, but he needs more friends that he can open up to because, man, is he going through it.
No, man, he needs what he's got, which is Dr. Grace.
Yeah.
He needs something that's more than just his friends because, like you said, he does have some really good friends, but the stuff that he is going through, it's pretty hard. The fact that he's actually even getting help is something that I wasn't sure I would ever see, but every Monday he is off getting help with Dr. Grace.
I really liked some of the various excuses that he had apparently given Parker and the team for his absence, because some of them made some sense and some of them were just really ridiculous. And this episode was really serious. We didn't have a lot of just humorous moments, but it was nice to get a couple of those in the early going as we sort of transitioned into an episode that was about a really interesting sort of idea where we see a lot of undercover missions on these shows over the years, but we don't really think about the damage that is sort of left behind, where in order to get to the end of this, you end up hurting some people along the way. And clearly he's been struggling with this.
Yeah, we saw that he was dating this cousin who is the Mark, as he was calling her, and he dated her for a good 5 months. I mean, it's not years and years, but it's still long enough to love somebody, care for somebody. He was romantic with them, he was intimate with them, they were sharing art and love. It was quite intense. And he, of course, was undercover to use her to get to the cousin to be able to take the cousin down. And we don't get to see very often on shows the after effect of something like that, how it affected her. She ended up turning on her cousin. He promised her that they would be together, they would go off together into witness protection, have this new life together, where she was just left holding the bag, where she ended up having to give up her art career. She ended up just being a telemarketer and hating her life. We really don't get to see that very often, that side of things, where it's okay, she did the right thing and she helped take down her cousin, but then she gets to pay for that afterwards, and she doesn't get this person who was someone she loved. It was pretty bad.
The part of it that really hit me the hardest was him being so afraid of being his father, where we kind of saw with his dad that this is someone who was actually working in his own quote unquote pursuit of a greater good. But in doing that, he was away from his family. He was duping people left and right. And from a human standpoint, that's not an easy way to live. And I don't care about how tough and smart and fast and strong, all these things that Torres supposedly is. These things will get to you. They will chip away your armor.
Yeah, and I really like that the show this episode came from a couple different angles with sort of the same thing that's happening to him, because he did have that with his dad, but and then he did this to this woman, but they also brought in Bishop and how he kind of feels like that happened to him with her. And I don't see it that way, but he's in the thick of his feelings and it's stuff that he has to work through with this. But that's how he feels. It's sort of he did this to somebody, and then Bishop did this to him, where he was developing a relationship. They were in love or falling in love, and then she was just like, bye, I have to go do this other thing now. I know we were developing something, but sorry for your luck. And it really hurt him. And we've seen a little bit of that hurt, but we saw a lot more of the effects of what happened and Bishop's choice and the way she handled that choice.
Are you, or for anyone in the comments too, are you guys surprised that Gibbs wasn't a factor in this in any way? Because like Bishop, Gibbs also kind of just left out of the blue, and he was a very important person to Torres in his life and his career, and obviously very different sort of relationship, but still a meaningful one.
Yeah, no, Gibbs should have been brought up, and I'll give the show the benefit of the doubt. We only saw like a little snippet into an hour-long session that's been going on for weeks of Mondays, that he has probably spoken about Gibbs also kind of going on his own path. And I mean, I think that maybe they didn't bring up Gibbs because Gibbs didn't do this in a way that was not that anyone did this in a way that was meant to hurt Nick.
Yeah.
But it felt a little bit different because he was romantically involved with Bishop. I mean, they were sharing kisses that felt very familiar, like they had already shared these.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know my theory on that. I think they
Yeah.
were together for a little while, but she kept leaving from him and almost didn't say goodbye to him in a way that felt different than what Gibbs was doing. He made a choice while he was out there to stay there. It wasn't exactly the same. He wasn't kind of hiding that he knew he was leaving. You can leave in the comments if you felt like he knew he was leaving the whole time. But to me, it kind of felt like you know what? I'm here now. I'm feeling this. I'm staying with this. He goes where the wind blows him sometimes.
I think that's probably the case. And I think with Torres, I think what he has to sort of figure out is how to live a little bit with the guilt, how to live a little bit with the pain, how to also move forward. Because like the one chilling thing about all of this is that, I mean, he really hurt this woman, and yet he's still working for a job where you don't know what's going to happen down the road. Like, he could always be tasked with doing another undercover mission in the future. Like, how does he reconcile that then?
Yeah, and this was my little bit of a gripe with this episode, and it's tough because this is a procedural show. So this was all going to have to be wrapped up in this one episode anyways. But I found that her reaction to seeing Nick again, and sort of like by the end of it where he's kind of like, we're going to be friends and we'll see where it goes. I was just like, no, I just don't see it kind of going that way with what he did to her. I mean, he called her a mark, that he had feelings for her, but she was just a means to an end, and then lied to her, and then didn't come meet her after she went to witness protection. She gave up her whole life to be able to help him, and he didn't give back in return. And while she seemed a little bit like upset, where she's like, oh, I can't trust you, I was just kind of wondering where, like, she's lost years of her life, and her whole life had to change. She had to give up her job of something she was passionate about. I mean, art is something people are very passionate about. If you're going to be an artist, it's your life. And it was just the reaction that she had still felt like, oh, after everything you did to me and all these years later, I still have this, love for you. Here's this pineapple painting that I've kept because I still have this love. And I'm just like, okay, first off, I understand that things get really intense at the beginning, but you guys were only together for 5 months. And it's been like how many years, like 6 years or something, after that time where you've had time to sit at your job as a telemarketer and feel raw about what he did to you. And I think this could have been fixed a little bit if by the end of it, maybe Torres wasn't like, oh, we're going to be friends and see where this goes. That maybe it would be more of her not necessarily telling him off, but really telling him, like, you really ruined my life. Like, I didn't do anything to deserve this. You used me to get to this other person and it destroyed my life. You lied to me. You were intimate with me under a ruse of something else to use me to get to my cousin. Like, you did me dirty on so many levels that by the end of it, when she was like, oh, I trust you now, I'm like, no, man, no, for this, no. Like, I understand he helped save her life, but she also was in there shooting guns and taking care of business. So it just felt like it could have ended in a way where it was a little more, I don't trust you. Maybe in the future, if we continue talking, I'll see where it goes. But right now, it's just at a no. No, thank you. Thanks for saving Bibi, but no, thank you for friendship.
I I would have thrown out the painting. I'm gonna start with that. I would have thrown out the painting, though. Good on you, Torres. It was a very nice painting of a pineapple.
No, that's not true.
It's better than what I could do right
No,
now.
that's also not true.
I am an artist in training as well, Nick. You know, we got a journey to go on here together. Also, anytime I think about Torres and art, I think about the him and Jimmy art class brawl that took place.
Oh,
He had
that's
some
a nice connection.
Yeah, Nick's got some familiarity in the world of art. I mean, what can we say? But yeah, I wish that they had sort of set this up where maybe this woman just comes back next year and it's a situation where they sort of wrap things up this time around with, I don't know if I'm going to see you again. Thank you for helping me through this. But then maybe in a year, they could sort of patch things up and be friends and kind of go in that direction.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that that would have been a more believable ending than sort of like this, we're going to be friends and see where it goes. This is like, oh my goodness, no. That just doesn't feel realistic. But the other thing that came out in this episode that we saw was that Torres has been drinking a lot. And
Yeah.
we saw Dr. Grace kind of bring it up by the end of it and say, do you want to be sober? And him saying yes, but you know, my words don't mean anything, my actions do. And her saying, well, your words mean something to me. I was like, oh, I really like that she's like, I believe in you kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I just feel like it became serious for him very quickly that he's having issues with drinking, and there hasn't been really any build up to this. I felt like I was kind of like, what? He has a problem with drinking? Where did this come from?
I don't know. Like, it's.
And I don't mean where does this come from? Obviously,
Well, yeah.
he has issues that he is using drink to help. I mean, like, where was the buildup with the show to him having this drinking problem? We didn't see him having a lot of drinks or going home every night and drinking, or anybody even in the office being like, man, you just came, you were out drinking again last night. That's like 2 weeks straight in a row. There was just no buildup.
I think it's just something you said earlier. It's because it's a procedural. They don't want to carry the story on to what happened before, or I'm pretty sure it probably won't be mentioned in the next episode, even though, I obviously hope that Torres can stay sober and doesn't have any problems in the future. But it's not often where someone can say, I'm going to be sober now, and then they are just able to right away. Like, this is a long process for a lot of people, and there are a lot of setbacks that come up along the way. I hope NCIS, continues to put them on a right path, and this is just an optimistic approach. It may not be the most realistic approach, but this show is not always the most realistic out there.
No, you have to suspend a little disbelief and hope that he's on a different path now. He is working with Dr. Grace. He has said he wants to be sober. I believe he's on a better path.
Well, I think in general, we're on a pretty good path here with NCIS, moving very close to the end of the finale. This was a little bit of a weird episode. There wasn't really like a B story. It was just sort of like all Torres all the time.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. I mean, I like Wilmer, so, give me all the Wilmer.
All right, well, hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any other NCIS reviews. We're here after every new episode, and we will see you here next time.